What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to some more Fire Emblem Three Houses, and admittedly I am extremely worried about how last episode went. This time when I record, I'm gonna go check the library because I need some stuff, need some certain facts. But right now, we are here for supports. Hopefully it went well. Maybe I might have cut some stuff out, I don't know. But where do we want to start? Well, to be honest, I think it's good if I start with Edelgard. A lot of her is unlocked. But actually, people said that Hubert and Hanneman was a good one to get early. I don't know why. I don't mind getting it, so let's see.
Hubert, my boy, it's rather rare for the two of us to see one another with no one else around, isn't it?
What?
Yes, I believe it is.
What?
I was good friends with your father, you know. Perhaps this is fate, eh?
Really?
Of course, when I left the Empire, I broke off my friendship with him. And, well, everyone else.
You were right to sever ties with such a miserable piece of filth.
So I see.
Sharp words, Hubert. Contemptible though your father may be, he is still your father.
I've always wondered about telling people that because some parents, they really don't deserve to be called parents. Is that just me?
Don't overcomplicate it. I will not forgive him. Ever.
Like, from what Hubert's house is supposed to be doing, I just, like, from how he was raised, I can see him not forgiving his father for what he's doing to his lord.
Contemptible is just the right word for the wretch. Do you truly know what kind of man my father is?
I assume you're talking about the insurrection of the Seven.
Can we talk more about it? People did tell me in the comments, but I'd like to hear it in the story.
At the time, I was already at Garrick Mark. I know nothing more than hearsay. That said, I found it hard to believe that Lord Vestra would challenge the Emperor like that.
Yeah, that's... Yeah.
Yet that's exactly what he did. Since the dawn of the Adrestian Empire, House Vestra has served House Hresvelg as the Emperor's right hand.
Exactly.
My father spat on a legacy of loyalty and devotion that had lasted 1100 years.
Like, from that standpoint, I can see why Hubert would never forgive him.
He conspired with the ministers to usurp power from the Emperor and Lady Edelgard.
In your father's defense, the Emperor was attempting to take power from the Seven Houses.
Really?
The Emperor's reform was an attempt to concentrate power in the hands of the throne.
That's info I did not have. How much? Like, I would love details on exactly what went down because it's always in the details where things, well, where I can see where I would lie.
The nobles put a stop to that. Emperor Ionius lost the ensuing power struggle.
Because from Edelgard's perspective, her father is very much a victim. And because there's a whole thing, well, a political thing. I'm not sure if it's if every nation has it, but strong government versus weak government. There are people on both sides of the argument. So it's hard to say one way or the other on if I can criticize at least the Emperor's actions.
Now it is the nobles' turn to suffer defeat. Lady Edelgard will be Emperor.
You hope she can cease this never-ending conflict? That's quite a goal, Hubert.
Because in all honesty, I should also mention this. The Alliance also has the type of, like, out of all three areas, I prefer the way the Alliance does their politics. Before the game even started, I knew that, right? Because both Hubert and Edelgard are grown into their, they're born into their role. Regardless, like, Edelgard's focus is on the crest, but what about, you know, just the birthright of being in a station? Like, the whole thing for me in Dimitri's route was that he was asking, did he deserve it? And it was more like, well, based on how the politics of the kingdom was, he had no choice but to work to try to be the best king he could be despite what happened, because he is the only one who could do it. Not because of his crest necessarily, but because he was the king's son. He was the heir to the throne. And the Alliance, while House Regan does have predominant power, they still have, a council. And while that's not perfect, I like that idea better. But of course, bottom line is, I'm not sure if I can say one or the other in the Empire's case, if House Restvelg should just keep ruling for what he would say, over 1,000 years? And Edelgard wants to take over all of Fotland now? Okay. And that was it? Oh man, I wanted more of that. Okay, we definitely will be getting that B. I don't have many with Hubert, and now I wish I did. Wish I did. I'm trying to see where Hubert's mindset is and everything. Alright, on that note, well, sure, why don't we go to Hubert and Caspar?
You were rather quiet in the last battle, Caspar.
You think?
Not a single war cry to be heard. It was almost as if you weren't even there.
I did it just for you, Hubert. Isn't that what you wanted? Weren't you the one who said my shouting would cause problems?
But I'd still think you should do call-outs if you weren't doing that.
Yes, I was. And at the time, you seemed intent on ignoring my advice.
Well, that was then. Recently, my behavior caused trouble, just like you said it would.
It did.
I was shouting the other day and some enemies heard. I pretty much gave our position away and left us open to attack.
Mechanically, that's what happened when they came and swarmed Bernadetta. That gives me a perfect excuse for that, for those reinforcements. But no, I'm only joking, alright? I'm only joking. I just think it's funny to look at it like that.
I mean, it turned out fine in the end, but someone could have died if things had played out differently.
Exactly. It did turn out fine, but it could have turned out differently.
Anyway, I did some self-reflecting and realized that I probably shouldn't shout so much. A decision that I'm proud to say I came to all on my own.
All on your own, huh? It was a bad decision. Being too quiet on the battlefield is extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what? That's the exact opposite of what you said before.
It is, but nevertheless, it's still true.
Having seen you fight in silence, I have no choice but to accept the truth that your shouting is vital.
What in the world are you talking about?
You need a middle ground, Caspar.
We've all grown used to the way you fight.
Oh, and I guess that's true too.
Your battle cries help morale. And your instructions rise above the din of battle.
Really?
I would go so far as to say that the soldiers under your command would be lost without the guidance of your booming voice.
You know, he has low authority, right?
I really don't get you, Hubert.
You inspire people. The benefits of your shouting outweigh the risks. Something wrong?
Yeah!
Wow.
If you want me to shout, then I'm gonna shout!
How's your voice, man? How's your throat?
I'm not even gonna think about it! I knew you'd come around!
Don't get too excited. You'll be ambushed again.
Then I guess I'm gonna have to fight some guys while shouting!
Well, more power to you, man. You did good in the last battle.
That might have been the wrong approach. Oh well. No cure for stupidity.
You got away with words, Hubert.
I suppose I'll just have to rein him in myself.
Okay, well, not exactly what I was looking for. Alright. I'll save Edelgard's for late. No, I need to know. I need to know. Can any... I'm just gonna go to it. Edelgard and Constance. What do they have to say?
You've got a look of resolve on your face, Constance. Have you come to a decision?
Which, by the way, I slightly misunderstood what was happening the first time I saw it. I have a better understanding now.
Quite so. I never waver for long, you know. I can read the signs as well as anyone. Things are in flux. I mustn't remain shackled by the past.
Okay.
I am ready to enlighten you regarding the secret that House Nouvelle has kept for generations.
Are you certain?
You have my gratitude. You will be rewarded for taking such a drastic measure.
Okay.
To be clear, this is about your crest, correct?
Oh yeah. That would make sense, because unlike the others who just, out in the middle of nowhere, Constance did Constance, because I know Yuri and Baltus mentioned there was some person who came to them, and Happy lived out in the middle of nowhere, but Constance was a member of a royal family.
Your instincts are sharp. According to the Empire's records, I bear the major crest of Macule.
Huh. Macule? Well, that's funny. I don't think anybody... Does a house bear the major crest of Macule?
But those records are mistaken. In point of fact, the crest that I bear is...
The major crest of Noah, one of the lost saints.
You already know.
That bloodline was believed to have died out. No one, not even the imperial nobility, bears that crest. How then did you come by that bloodline? And how did you manage to thwart the Empire's investigations into the matter?
Did she? Because you know.
All of the answers you seek are tied to House Nouvelle's origins. Close to 1,000 years ago, Saint Noah parted ways with Saint Saros. She lived out her days in seclusion on what would become Nouvelle territory.
Makes sense.
Her children obscured their origins before serving the Empire. It wasn't long before they were ennobled.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
I suspect Saint Noah feared that revealing her crest would only lead to tragedy.
So she passed it off as the crest of Macule, which already existed within the Empire.
So it does. Who has it? So far, I've seen no one with Macule's crest.
Yes, much like Saint Macule, Saint Noah was known to be a masterful mage. Her magic ensured that any test would not reveal the true nature of her crest. Otherwise, someone may have exploited our bloodline long ago.
House Nouvelle was known for producing as few heirs as possible.
Really? She had a brother, though.
It was also known for keeping its offspring pure, mostly by disallowing marriage with other houses.
Now you see? It doesn't necessarily have to be inbreeding, but it's along the same lines.
All of that effort was in order to conceal Noah's bloodline, wasn't it?
But yeah, it could. I mean, if you just have other people, it doesn't have to be inbreeding.
Yes, but it was a factor in our house's ultimate downfall. Our priorities were, perhaps, not what they ought to have been. In sidestepping the internal strife within the Empire, we left ourselves open to the external threat posed by Dagda. With stronger blood ties to other houses, we might have had allies in our time of greatest need.
That makes a lot of sense.
Interesting. I always had the inkling that the 6 noble houses were eager to see House Nouvelle fall. Thank you for trusting me with this, Constance.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm very worried about what Edelgard's gonna do with that information, alright? I just damn.
I swear that once I ascend the throne, I will do all I can to help you revive your fallen house.
I mean, I don't believe she's gonna harm Constance, let me say that. I do believe that Edelgard sees Constance as a valuable ally. But once again, every time Edelgard is describing her conviction, while the Black Eagles are fine, the other houses are not. It's just a fact. And now, is now a good time? Yeah, we've been talking about it for a minute. Let's go. I might actually split these supports up, but I need info, and I want you guys to be here with me. There's 2. Funny enough, I remember I was going back to the Golden Deer to see if I can find a quote of Claude saying how he didn't care about Crest, but then I realized Claude's from Elmira. They didn't have Crest, so of course he would. But we were in here with Thomas, and Claude was saying how Well, actually, was it that clip? Well, it was one clip where Claude was saying how the church had things that they bury, secrets that they bury underground. I think now's the time to read those. But first, oh, Bridget, perfect union of gentle sea and nature's bounty. While Folin and Dagna have long vied to claim this territory as their own. Spring, which I never hear about. Oh wait, no, but that's who Sylvain's family's fighting against. And there's Dusker. And they were decimated. Yep. Oh, my mountains. To the west, it forms a border between the Empire and the kingdom surrounding. Oh, that's cool. Just some interesting facts. Almyra, a great kingdom to the east of Folin. It borders territory that of Leicester Alliance with a mountain range known as Folin's Throat, acting as a dividing line. Yep. They maintain a strong legacy of horsemanship and relish the thrill of battle. Yep. Albania? What? Frigid climate is home to numerous rare and valuable species of flora and fauna. However, the human population is extremely small due to the intense cold and frozen earth. Morphus. Name of metropolis of what? In a distant past, it was called the City of Illusion. Can we go to Morphus? Then there's Dagda. Wait, due to extreme distance from Folin, rumors of this relatively unknown world abound. Some claim it's a tropical rain. Oh, we can just ask Shamir. Oh wait, in truth, the vast continent stretches far to the north and south and supports. We can just ask Shamir. Huh. Here we go. The goddess is all things. She is heaven above and land below. She is eternally incarnate. She is present, past, present, and future. She who was guided by the she was graced by the holy sword of the divine goddess who bore witness to her magnificence. One called Seros, messenger of the heavens. Yeah, Claude had something to say about this as well. How they dressed it up to help gain followers, but the sublime sword is entrusted to you. The emperor is crowned before you. The emperors are crowned before you. The wings clear your path. The voice whispers the words of trust. Interesting. So does that mean that is House Hresvelk in power because of Rhea? Now that would be interesting, wouldn't it? Because, well, let's just keep going. But I mean, okay. Let me rewind. Obviously, I know it was over here, based on the war that House Hresvelk, you know, they were. Like Rhea, she founded the Empire, right? She gave House Hresvelk their crest. I'm assuming. Well, let's see. But this is, you know, really this is like Nemesis. He was a thief. But did he actually proclaim himself as the King of Liberation? Because he did have a lot of people following him. But 41 years before the founding, St. Seros appeared in the land of Embar, and through many unfathomable miracles she performed, spread light across the land. I might not want to read this part, though. Or, no, we have to read it. We have to read it. Just give me a second, guys. We're going to go through this. She joined the Shadow Hearts of the purest people in Folin. Yeah, that is where I'm starting to wonder. It's like, did Rhea choose who would be leading? Its name was gifted by an oracle and its future blessed by the goddess. Its capital, Embar, was chosen to cover the southern regions of Folin. Okay, but okay, 32. William Paul Hresvelk, the inaugural Adrestrian Emperor, raised an army in pursuit of the unification of Folin. Right. He tried to unify Folin, and then they don't mention Rhea at all there. And that's only year 32 of the Imperial year. And then an intense battle erupted in the Gronder Field, where the houses that were allied with Nemesis and the Imperial. That's weird. They phrased that weird. Because that's when Rhea beat them. But the way they phrase it is like, William tried to unify Foltland, but they make it seem villainous almost. Is that just me? And then his successor died, and then the Empire took this opportunity to end the ceaseless fighting. That's very weird. Because I'm trying to wonder whose point of view that's from. Were there any books over here that are important? The Kingdom of, oh. I guess there's this. House Restveld. Yeah. The most distinguished noble house of the Empire, tracing its roots back to the great Emperor, which we just read. It has been the governing house of the Empire for 1,100 years. Its lineage also traced back to St. Cyril's itself. I mean, yeah. But are they not staying in power? Okay, they reside in Embar, the imperial capital, claiming all territory as its domain. It boasts its supreme authority both within the Empire and without, until the insurrection of the Seven. So that just happened. In recent years, a series of misfortunes has plagued this storied house, and some believe dark clouds. Really? House Ayer, second only to House Restveld. Well, now I think it's actually in the lead. They led the insurrection of the Seven, and in many ways holds the true governing power of the Empire. House Vestra, House of Marquise without a domain, existing in the shadow of House Restveld. In addition to managing the darker tasks of the Empire, it's responsible for the Emperor's affairs, including coordinating things such as ceremonies and rituals. Imperial Consort, really? All of that? So yeah, then if House Vestra was in control, then Edelgard's father really had the rug swept from under him. Then Irving. Who is that again? Oh, military? So that's Caspar, right? Caspar Irving? Really? No. I thought Caspar von Berglies and then Linhart von Irving. I thought Caspar was military, but it's Linhart's? Oh, no, domestic. What the heck? Where did I read? Okay. Yes, it's domestic. Particularly those relating to administration, finance, and judiciary. It frequently clashes with the military. Oh, I don't know what happened. Much of its territory lies in the mountains, really. Wow. Fascinating. So they're not hard for money at all, are they? No wonder Linhart seems, not like he has a cushy life, but well, yeah, kinda. Berglies, a house of counts that has inherited the rule of the Empire's Ministry of Military Affairs, commands all the armies that do not directly belong to the Emperor. During times of war, the head of the house becomes the Imperial Army's commander-in-chief. Their territory encompasses most of the Empire's main breadbasket, Gronder Field. And then Varley, Bernice. They rule over the Ministry of Religion, whose main responsibility is to maintain amiable relations with the Church of Ceros. However, due to the estrangement of the churches from the Empire in recent years, is now more involved with the judiciary. Judiciary? What, like, you mean they judge people now? Okay. House Girth. House of Dukes that inherited rule over the Empire's Ministry of Exterior. Diplomacy, foreign relations, and relations between various provinces and the capital fall under its purview. It worked hard to secure the ceasefires that ended both the Bridget and Dagda campaigns. So Duke Gareth, I remember him. He is who Petra feels very indebted to. And apparently Duke Gareth, it was complicit in the insurrection, but yet it remained distant from associated houses. Gareth joins Edelgard. Arundel. Head of the house when Volkhard's younger sister became betrothed. It's all right here. This is why I don't read this stuff, right? It would have spoiled the entire story of Dimitri. Well, it would have alluded to a lot of stuff. Wait. Volkhard's younger sister Oh, no, wait, no. It's just saying that his younger sister married Edelgard's father. So, yeah, that makes sense. Of course, that. Never mind. Volkart was granted the title of Lord Arundel, having worked closely with House Arundel, seen as one of the chief instigators. Yep. House Frem, a house of imperial viscounts, resisting Emperor Ionis IX's policy of power centralization. It's set to join the alliance. Right, and then that's when Lysithea was involved. The house's main genetic line was wiped out. Its current head of the house is an adoptee. Nouvelle was here? Was it always? Son of a mother. A house of imperial viscounts with territory on the western coast of the empire, centered around its namesake harbor city of Nouvelle. The house flourished thanks to its commerce with Dagda. Really? They traded with them. Even still, it fell to ruin after permitting the combined invading forces of Dagda and Bridget armies to make landfall. Wow. And isn't this head of the house was lost to Dagda and Bridget war? I feel like I should know this. Is this Monica's? Foltland's fangs. And the House Bartels. Highly ambitious, it sought out and acquired several crests for its bloodline. Many members, including head of the house, died under unexplained circumstances. The deed was attributed to their house Emile. I know Bartels. Oh! Yuritsa? That's she's not in my roster. Which means I can't check her right now. But Bartels. Now many things make sense. So on Yuritsa, something's obviously not right with him. I do not think he is the same boy that Mercedes knew. Like, it almost seems like he literally died and came back to life, and his mission from that point on was to kill everybody and everything. Maybe he's a victim of the Agarthan's experimentations. I should say that. And I don't need the Alliance of the Kingdom. Okay. There's one more thing up here that I gotta read, because I need all my info from this point on. Dagda invaded across the sea. Empire invaded the Bridget archipelago, land occupied by allies of Dagda. They refused to surrender, and they were relegated to a life of imperial subjugation. On that note, I had always assumed that when Edelgard rose to power, she freed Petra from that. That might not be the case, because Edelgard still has to be political about it. If that is the case, then that would make sense. That was one of the things when I was asking why was Petra on the battlefield. If it's because she's still considered to be under the Empire and Edelgard had no say in that, then that's something I want to know, right? I just want to know what the reason is. If it's a valid reason, then okay. If it's something sus, then okay as well. But Lug, a descendant of the... Yeah, and this is when the kingdom split up and the alliance split up. Yeah. Wait, what? Hold on. The great eastern nation of Elmira crossed through Foltland's throat and the alliance invaded Alliance territory. The Empire dispatched troops in order to help conquer the threat, and the attackers were just barely driven off? Yo. To defend against future Elmiran invasions, the Alliance, the Kingdom, and the Empire joined their resources to construct the formidable fort known as Foltland's Locket. The Elmirans are that beast? Yo, put some respect on Claw's name, alright? That's all I'm saying. And the threat that would happen if Foltland suddenly lost all of its crests. Luckily, Claw has no intention of war. Okay. Now we got to do the other half. I purposely waited to read some of these because I felt, oh right, it's not active yet. And there's no quests active yet either. Okay. So I don't have that stuff yet. But that did give me some clarity. Well, for now, that's that. I don't imagine these will go into anything too serious. But why don't we start with Linhardt?
Linhardt, at least try to do some training. Use a staff, or a rod, or a broom for all I care.
My apologies, but I cannot train right now. I have plans for later and don't wish to tire myself.
What would those plans be?
Caspar invited me to train with him, you see.
Oh yeah!
You slept through the whole debate, didn't you? Fine, I'll summarize it for you.
What was the debate?
Not the whole debate. I closed my eyes only after I knew what reading would cover the topic.
There you are. Don't tell me you were sneaking out to do some training.
Of course not. I was sneaking out to avoid you.
Well,
How did you find me this time?
at least you were honest.
A mere coincidence. Why would you wish to hide from me?
Because you're an awful nuisance?
Wow.
Why do you pester me so?
You really need to learn some tact, man.
To ensure that your talent is not wasted due to your lack of...
It's none of your business how I spend my time or how I use my talent.
Well, actually, he's kind of not wrong.
Have you assumed the role of my mother? You overplay the part. She was only half as overbearing.
What is the matter with you?
Well, you have been pestering him quite a bit.
As house leader, I'm trying to prevent you from causing trouble for yourself and our classmates.
I do wonder what would be the difference between the house leader's role and the professor's role, but...
Fine, I'll try harder. Really. I'm sure you see all this as my interfering with your duty as a leader. Have you considered how it feels for those of us who serve below you? You are a serious pain, you know.
I mean, she is trying to look out for him. But again, I do wonder if part of what Linhardt's going on, like, Flame has a legitimate condition, and it wouldn't be surprised if her crest had a side effect of that.
How so?
You're like a mother who insists on accompanying her son to his own knighting ceremony.
Well, that's accurate.
That's taking it a bit far, don't you think?
No, I'd say that it's putting it lightly. All your interfering is greatly hindering my research.
I see. Very well. You've made your perspective perfectly clear.
His research could actually help you, though, if it was to remove crests. If he figures that out, which he intends to, move from one project to another. So I'm not trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not trying to take a side here. I'm just saying, well, if he did complete that research, it would be beneficial. But she does have his best interests at heart. She does. Is there any more? That was it? I'm actually gonna switch for a second. Let's go to Bernie. Look at all these B ranks that are blocked. Is that a... That's weird. Considering that... I've been wondering if some of the B ranks won't unlock until post-time skip. Ferdinand's didn't even in... Because I remember... Well, Linhardt's does. But Caspar and Ferdinand, I had to do certain special things to recruit them. Specifically Ferdinand. So... Well, either way.
Great weather today. Perfect for shutting yourself inside, don't you think?
I honestly would say you've earned it after that battle. Definitely.
I'm glad you get it. With great weather like this, there will be no one inside to bother us. I love feeling like I'm all alone in the world.
I know, Bernie. And here we go.
Oh, that. Well, I guess I can tell you, Professor. My father's obsessed with money. He's only ever seen me as bait for a rich husband.
This dude is still a scumbag, alright? Regardless of what Bernie told Dorothea being true or not, well, it's fact. Yuri exists. He's in the game. I'm pretty sure he's canon. Like, all four of them are canon. Especially with House Nouvelle being in the books. So, he's still a scumbag, though.
To train me to be good wife. He'd do things like tie me to a chair. I tried hard to do as he asked. Honestly, I did. But before I knew it, I just couldn't bring myself to leave my room anymore.
Yeah, it makes sense. Why not?
I just had this overwhelming feeling of fear all the time. No matter how hard I tried, my father never thought I was good enough. After that, it was just constant scolding. He couldn't say 2 words to me without mentioning how useless I was. An unmarriageable girl.
First off, I'm pretty sure what Bernie's the third most popular. The poll I'm going based off on is one that was done for Fire Emblem Heroes, and admittedly it has a slight bias on the top units would have special versions of them. So for characters that, well, anyways, point is, Bernadetta came third on that list, under Lysithea and Edelgard. I am pretty sure it's safe to assume that a majority of people like Bernie. So your father don't know what he's talking about.
My life was isolated, to say the least. I wasn't allowed to play with other kids, let alone make friends. Soon, I stopped wanting that. I was happiest alone.
And that's another thing. She wasn't allowed. The severity of how that happened, it differs, but nevertheless, she wasn't really allowed to make friends.
But even that made him mad. And when he tried to drag me outside, I kicked and screamed so much, I seriously hurt myself. He's calmed down a bit in recent years. His constant torment was replaced with complete indifference. He mostly acts like I don't exist now.
How did you end up at the I remember this too. This is where it really got.
If you can believe it, I was basically kidnapped. My mother ordered an attendant to stuff me in a bag while I was sleeping. By the time I figured out what was going on, I was already here.
Like, what kind of parents, man?
For a while, I was sure I was going to die. But here I am. Look at me. Still breathing. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get you down talking like that about my past.
It's okay, Bernie. It's okay.
Just forget everything I told you. There's no point in talking about myself anyway.
There's a lot of point.
Idiot! Oh, this is why everyone hates you, Bernie!
Thank you for confiding in me.
What? No!
Whoa!
It's not...
What was that? Did I do that before?
Oh, Professor! How can you be so kind to me? I don't deserve it.
See, I'd say it's another hug moment, but... I mean, it is.
I'm sorry. Please don't look at me.
She deserves kindness in her life. She hasn't... Well, I say she hasn't done anything to anybody, but again... Everybody has taken somebody out. But you get what I mean. On that note, let's go to Yuri.
Is that Yuri?
Because I need to see this again.
I gotta evaporate. Maybe if I just curl into a ball, I'll pass as a boulder. Or a pebble.
Hey, Bernadetta.
You can see me?
Clearly. You're a tricky one. Always trying to hide when I'm around.
Yeah?
Sorry. Please forgive me.
If you want forgiveness, then explain yourself. But make it quick. You always ramble on.
Well, when I was little, my mother and father, they...
You just explained that.
You've got to be kidding. Cut to the chase, please.
You remind me of one of my old friends.
Oh, come now. Whoever this friend of yours is can't possibly compare to me.
Yuri is a natural at hiding stuff, by the way.
I'm telling the truth.
All right. What was this friend like then? The way you run and hide from me, they must have been a real piece of work.
That's not it at all. He was the assistant to the gardener at our estate. My friend was gentle, trustworthy, gorgeous.
Right.
And, well, he was the only person who was ever nice to me. We used to run around the gardens playing together.
And why is it you keep running away from me?
That's... do I really have to say? We hardly even know each other.
You never have to do anything. But if you don't, you and I won't have a shot at knowing one another, and you'll carry on avoiding me forever.
Yeah?
But that's no good either. Okay. I'll tell you. The thing is, because of me, he got in trouble. After that, I never saw him again.
Once again, never saw him again. Doesn't explicitly say what happened.
You see, my father hated commoners, and when he found out I was spending a lot of time with one, well, he's probably dead now, and it's all my fault. It's because of me. He must have hated me.
That doesn't sound right to me. Why would you think all that?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing you did would make his death your fault. And hating you for something that isn't your fault is absolutely absurd. Delusional, even.
You're wrong. He'd definitely hate me if he knew. How would you know anyway?
Well,
What? Did you know my friend or something?
In a manner. Right. So, remember back when you were a kid? You tripped while holding some gardening shears? And your friend got cut pretty badly.
Oh, yeah. I remember. But how did you know about that?
that's quite a memory to think of a friend.
If I bore you any ill will, it would have only been for cutting my face with those damn shears.
Cutting your face? Shears? But there's no way!
But there is. That friend? That was me, Bernadetta.
This actually takes place in a very good timeline-wise.
Anyway, I'm glad I finally got to hear how you felt about all of that. Let's spend time together later and chat about the good old days. Get to know each other again.
But how did... But...
I can see how people be upset that this was included for a couple of reasons. One, was it absolutely necessary? I mean, granted, he has like supports with Ingrid, and it's just, you know, support with Ingrid. I think his with Dorothea was nice, but I always thought, as soon as I saw Yuri's, I'm like, where is his with Ash? Like, of all people, you're telling me that they're not even gonna talk with each other? Because like Hilda has one with Balthus. And who else was... Linhardt has... Yeah, that's the thing. It's like they gave the other two, because the units that participated in the Ashen Wolves, of course, Edelgard, Dimitri, Claude, and then Linhardt, Ash, Hilda. It's like they gave Linhardt and Ash to Happy. Well, I mean, I'm not sure what Linhardt and Happy are going to talk about. Maybe her crests? Yeah, that actually would make sense. So Linhardt with Happy, I can see. But why did they give Ash to Happy? If I had to give my thought process, who would I give Happy or Happy's other support to? Maybe somebody else in the Blue Lions. I mean, yes, Happy has one with Dimitri. Or Happy's tied to the Blue Lion story. Oh, that's a question. But I definitely think Ash and Yuri should have had a support. So I can see how it could possibly not make Bernadetta's story hit as hard, because she speaks to the Black Eagles with so much regret, and then Yuri's just like, "Oh hey, I'm here, I'm good. How's it hanging?" So I can see both sides. All right, I'm not gonna go one way or the other. All right, with that being said, it's time for Bernie's last support with Petra.
Hunting? Really? There's no way I can do this. Goddess, why couldn't I have stayed in today?
Bernadetta, is this a trouble you are having? I heard that the duty to hunt is yours today.
You guys hunt? Like that's part of your chores?
The duties all got assigned while I was holed up in my room.
Do not be worrying. I can show you the way to hunt well.
Oh, okay then.
I mean, did you see how many crits she did in that last battle? Though honestly, both of you can be fantastic archers in the future.
When you see a beast, You are thinking of it as an enemy. That is how prey thinks.
Huh.
You must think of the beasts as food. That is how the hunter thinks.
Huh.
So it's not an enemy, it's food. But, how is it food when it's still alive?
Well, this is an interesting conversation.
You pick the vegetables from the field. Those have life too. It is the same. You take a blade in your hand and take the lives of the vegetables. You cut their stalks and harvest without mercy.
I'm going to use that clip later. I can... Yeah, I need... Remind me to save in a different save file after this. Okay. Moving on.
They do not scream, but you are still their killer.
That is an interesting... Petra is reminding me a lot of somebody else. And I've been meaning to speak on... I promise you, there was something I thought when I first met Petra, and it was very strong in my mind in the Golden Deer route. The very first time I played the game. Well, it was probably even before that when I knew her name was Petra. It had significance. And I wanted to bring it up when I met Petra post time skip, but I don't either. I never said it, or I can't remember when I said it in the Golden Deer route, but I've thought it the entire time up until this moment. I'm waiting for the right time to say it, but yeah, I'll bring it up another time.
Killer?
Killer bow, killer sword.
Fruit ripens and falls to the ground. The seeds sprout, and a new life is born. That is life's cycle. It has cruelty, yes, but you must end life to eat. You must be killing to be living.
Petra's mentality is what I would expect of someone like her.
Maybe, but I don't know if I want to be some kind of vegetable murderer.
And it reminds me of when Marianne, when she was thinking of how she thought death meant so little. It's like when you're in this type of field where you take other people's lives, I would think you would... I want to choose my words carefully again, so I'm gonna wait.
It is the same for rabbits, deer, pheasants. The only difference being that they cannot cry out. You must do what you must do to be living in this world. It is your task.
A task. Yes, just a task. A completely mindless task.
Feel it. There, in the grass. Prey is moving, just like a vegetable in the wind.
That is... I am really getting into the hunter mindset now.
Give it an arrow, just like you would give a vegetable a blade. It is just your task.
And it actually reminds me of The Hunter's Apprentice. Anybody read that? It's a very good series. I'd recommend it.
Right. That makes sense.
Ranger's Apprentice.
It's just like cutting a stem.
Ranger's Apprentice.
You are now a hunter. You have learned how to hunt.
I am? I have? Oh, good! What a relief.
Still, I think actually doing it will be better.
You have understanding now. I can tell.
Great! Leave it to me. I'll hunt down my prey just like their vegetables.
Right.
I have belief in you.
Aw, thanks, Petra. I can do this. Make way for Huntmaster Bernie!
Please get a new skill after that.
Have luck, Bernie.
No! What?
What happened?
No! Stay back! I'm sorry, Mr. Rabbit. I didn't mean it!
I was about to say, she should have went with her.
Why are you the one chasing me? Ow!
You got chased by a rabbit? Okay, Bernie. Alright. Ooh, Caspar has a lot. Okay. Well, why don't we start with Caspar and Ferdinand?
Caspar, I have been waiting.
Ferdinand, waiting for what?
I am going to give you a lesson on the righteous path of the noble.
Oh, really?
Righteous path? What? You have a problem with my path now? You think you're more righteous than me?
I don't think that's what he meant, but that's definitely how it sounded.
That remains to be seen. I heard you stopped a robbery in town the other day. Some despicable thief who was robbing an elderly shopkeeper. rumor has it you didn't wreak as much havoc as usual.
Oh, really?
Hey now, I think you're underestimating me here. When the thief showed up, the old shopkeeper was so scared that he could barely stand. I didn't want the guy to pass out, so I had to stay calm while handling the situation.
Okay.
Rather than fighting, I gave my own money to the thief and told him to get out of there. Or else.
Interesting, Caspar.
How, magnanimous of you.
The thief fell for it and left the shop. That's when I chased him down. I got my money back and gave that thief a good beating.
Wow.
He won't be back here anytime soon.
I'll admit, I'm impressed.
Ah, so you walloped the scoundrel. That does sound like you. I am finding this story more plausible. Nevertheless, I think...
Hold on. Now it's your turn. I heard a very interesting story about you recently.
Really?
My turn, eh? Let's hear this story then.
The way I heard it, you punched a foreign soldier right in the middle of town.
Really?
Stop. I know what you are getting at. But you have the wrong idea.
Then explain.
Let's hear your version then.
I had been browsing for weapons at a rundown stall.
Uh-huh.
Suddenly, a man seized the stall's owner and started dragging him away. Someone with a less generous spirit might say the peddler had it coming. His wares were quite inferior after all.
I was about to say, was he mad about that?
But without a moment's hesitation, I leapt to his aid and soundly defeated the goon.
The goon?
Well done. Sounds exciting.
It was nothing, really. Anyway, the old shopkeeper let me in on the details. He said that he was a novice trader, tricked by a noble into selling low-quality goods.
Really?
That ruse was about to come to light, so the noble had sent a mercenary to keep the shopkeeper silent.
Really?
So that's what really happened. I just heard you snapped and attacked some noble servant. I figured it was worth asking about.
And a foreign noble at that. Which one?
Well, I won't deny it. I forgot my rank for a moment and let my instincts take over.
Well, you know, sometimes that's the right thing to do, man.
Is there something wrong with that? It sounds a little like something I would do.
Yeah, man.
And your, gentle approach to handling that robbery. That sounds like something I might do.
You learning from each other?
You were not overcome by your impulses. You kept a cool head. For the most part.
I think we're starting to rub off on each other. Always looking for a way to defend justice and to lift each other up.
Now, I wouldn't mind you two rubbing off on each other. In, you know, a personality way.
Partners in justice, eh? Well now, that I can agree to.
All right. I likes that. I like where that went. And now they have a separate support. I really want to know Ferdinand's with Edelgard, but I'm actually going to go Ferdinand and Lawrence. Let's see what this looks like.
Ah, that fragrance. Could it be?
Man, it's been a minute since I've seen him.
Ferdinand, I cannot help but notice the exquisite tea you're drinking.
Wait a minute. Didn't people say that Caspar and Lawrence had the same VA? I was like, why does Lawrence's voice sound off right now to me? It's because I just heard his voice.
Not many can appreciate it, let alone recognize it. I'm impressed.
Perhaps you would be so good as to indulge me with a cup?
By all means. Allow me to pour.
Wow. These two are one and the same.
What a delightful aroma. When I close my eyes, I feel as though I've wandered into a rose garden.
Well, that's a vivid image.
Such a precise, poetic description.
Yeah.
But please, drink up. No need to stand on ceremony.
How gracious of you. Very well.
You can tell that these two have been trained in etiquette.
Flavor, fragrance, and hue, all in fine harmony. This is a most superior brew. And in a market saturated by pale imitation, no less. You did well to acquire such fine fare.
You are clearly quite passionate about tea. And more than just passionate.
Yeah?
You know what it takes to brew a fine cup. To say nothing of your flawless etiquette and sterling attentiveness.
Yeah?
Certainly. Proper etiquette at tea time is one of the surest hallmarks of quality breeding. And the extent of one's attentiveness is quite often indicative of the depth of one's character. The ability of a person of fine stock to exhibit a rich quality of character is precisely what determines whether one is worthy to be called noble.
Oh, bogus, Lawrence.
And all of that can be seen in how one handles such a simple thing as a cup of tea.
Ah, marvelously put, Lawrence. I can tell you have given much thought to this subject.
Wow.
And if I may, I have always considered you to be the very model of noble comportment.
Oh, no.
Oh, likewise, this has certainly been an extraordinarily meaningful cup of tea.
I wholeheartedly concur. Before we part ways, I would like to offer you some of these leaves.
Oh, my goodness.
Truly? Well, I'm flattered, but I cannot simply accept them without offering something in exchange.
Wow.
You simply must allow me to host you in turn, by way of recompense.
Okay.
We shall drink from House Gloucester's finest teacups and enjoy the loveliest of its cakes.
I don't know. What is it about this conversation?
That sounds exquisite. I look forward to it.
It tickles me. Man, I like that. I like that. Okay. Now let's end. I think I'll do Caspar first.
Caspar, I've been wondering something. Would you be happier if you were the heir to House Burgleys?
Interesting question.
Of course. My brother probably wouldn't be too happy about it, though. I've got nothing against him, and I'd hate to cause him trouble, so I guess it wouldn't make me very happy at all.
That's a fair response.
You may not want to hear this, but your brother is not a good man.
Edelgard, what you saying? You saying about to off him?
He's lazy and greedy, and has always relied on the knowledge that he would inherit a title. That's my impression of him, anyway.
You don't hold anything back, do you? But to be honest, you're not too far off.
See, but does that have anything to do with him having a crest or not, or just him being the first in line? Or firstborn?
He's got good reason for it, though. Our grandfather was really obsessed with his second wife.
With your grandfather was obsessed with his own second wife, or your grandfather was obsessed with your brother's second wife? And first off, how old is your brother?
She has a son who she really wanted to become the heir. In the end, though, my grandfather had to step down sooner than expected, so everything went to my father instead.
I see.
My brother is still really worried about having his future taken from him.
That's the price of taking your own desires into account when choosing an heir.
Yeah.
The concept of nobility is decaying, and it's dragging the Empire into the ground with it.
So what's your solution?
Wow, this conversation is really going there. You may be right, but it's not like the world is ever going to change, right?
Caspar, you talking to the wrong person saying that.
It must. I intend to create a world where the best are free to rise to the top and succeed, regardless of their bloodline.
If that's the case, Edelgard, then again, why do you not think that the other two want that as well?
The nobility as it is now could not exist in a world like that. I'll make sure of it.
What do you think would happen to me in that kind of world? Would you appoint me as a general or minister of military affairs?
If you were the best suited for that position, I would.
Right, so my life would pretty much stay the same.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't see him as being the best in that type of role.
I'd still have to train, get stronger, and use my abilities to cut my own path. I don't know what I'm gonna do after we graduate. I guess I'll just have to fight for you.
Is that so?
At the base, the front lines, or wherever we might be fighting, I'll be there with all my might.
Okay, Caspar. That was interesting. So now I have a better idea. I always need Edelgard. I wish, you know, I might say some disclaimer on that video to wait till this episode, because now is where I'm starting to think about things, starting to piece things together, and see more on what Edelgard, because the whole point is that I don't know what Edelgard's end goal is, but now she finally said something along the lines of something tangible, right? She wants to create a world where those who, a world based off of merit and not based off of crest and status. But she claims that the crests are to blame completely, and that's where I'm like, nah. Well, remember I said I was 50% on I'm like, the crests are one thing, but the way the world's built, like, there's a lot of outdated practices definitely that need to be changed. I remember saying I could either really like Edelgard or really despise her. It all depends, because her goal is very similar to Claude, right? Which is why it's so frustrating to me. Why? Because I went back right after this map where we had Sylvain's brother and Edelgard did this huge reveal with her crest and stuff. That Claude, on the flip side, was talking about how there were a lot of secrets, and then Edelgard appeared then. It's almost like now, because she was talking about reaching out her hand at this point, it's like she was trying to, but she just went about it the wrong way. It's one thing to talk to like Caspar or Ferdinand. It's a completely different story to talk to somebody that you don't even know. And instead of what she has to do, what she needs to do in that situation was give some stuff about her away. If she gave Claude the slightest inclination that what she wanted was along the same things as what he wanted, then maybe, because if she had the Alliance's help, right? Because the Alliance honestly is her biggest threat. Because I heard people saying that the Empire would have won without us showing up. Maybe. That's debatable, because Dimitri was still around without us living, and Claude can still gather his army. I think it really depends on who wins the Battle of the Eagle and Lion. Or, who wins the Battle at Gronder Field post-time skip. Although, because either way, like without Byleth/Blake, right? Either way, Dimitri and Claude both made it there. And they will make it there this time in the Black Eagles. That is without a fact. So I don't know if I can say definitively that the Empire would have won. Just that our presence and our guiding on our house help make our units the strongest when that battle appears. It's possible all three of them could have taken each other out. I think that's definitely possible. But my whole point is, if she had the Alliance's help, then it would have been, even if she didn't have Dimitri, there would have been a lot less bloodshed. Especially considering that she would have, well, anyways. Though I still wonder, certain things, I need details on more of Edelgard's plan. We got one more. It's Edelgard and Dorothea. Let's see. And you're singing the same song that you did before.
You're in high spirits today, Dorothea.
Yes, I have met someone quite charming recently. I'm hoping we can spend more time together soon.
Really?
Well, I wish you the best of luck. I wish I had some advice to offer. Alas, I do not.
That makes sense.
Don't worry too much about it, 80. I guess romance isn't really something you're interested in anyway.
I'm not completely disinterested.
Yeah, it makes sense, but like, you got bigger things on your plate.
Oh yeah? Is there someone you have your eye on?
Don't. Edelgard.
To be honest, there's nothing resembling romance in my life at present.
Alright. Cool.
It's not that I'm disinterested. I'm simply too busy with other endeavors. I have no time to spare for such things.
That's not surprising. You're not just any old noble, after all.
That's a fact.
Anyone who has feelings for you, well, they're in for a pretty complicated life.
That's a fact.
True. And I can't ignore the possibility that I may have to marry for political purposes.
I figured you would be one to do that.
I doubt I'll ever have the opportunity for a passionate romance as long as I live.
That's no way to talk. You meet the right person and boom, you have passion to spare.
I don't think she wants to indulge that, though. It's more like if she came about it, then she's glad. And she is admitting that that is a possibility. So then, how will she get rid of the crest? Does she have an idea?
Could be someone you've just met, or someone you've known your whole life. There's no telling how life will go. Something could even spark between the two of us.
It could.
You and I. Now that is an entertaining thought. If such an exciting future is in store, I look forward to it.
Oh, yeah? That's awfully sweet of you, Adi.
Oh, that's not how I expected that to end. Okay. All right. Well, that unfortunately is it. Okay. I was hoping to get more from Hubert and Edelgard's side of things. Somebody mentioned, what do I think about Hubert? Let me clear that up real quick, all right? He and Edelgard have been my enemies for the longest time. It's not easy to just say, oh yeah, I'm gonna completely forgive them when this route starts. No. In fact, I can never forgive them for what they did in those previous 2 routes. But this one, with our help, maybe things can be different. Why do I say I can never forgive them in the previous 2 routes? Well, it's because, at least okay, let me specify. It is not Dimitri who you need to try to discredit, because I didn't agree with everything with Dimitri in the first place, and he wasn't my house leader to begin with. It's Claude. Claude is the one I'm saying, it's like, you know, another me. Claude is the one where I'm basically saying we agree on so much. And he is the one that I started this route with. I thought we had no beef with Edelgard, and then all of a sudden, 5 years later, and we're fighting. All that time, I'm like, Edelgard, why did you do this? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And why I'm questioning it, I'm taking out members of the Blue Lions and the Black Eagles. And it took me some time to finally get some glimpse of an answer. Then there's the methods that Edelgard went to go about doing it. It's certain things that Edelgard didn't have to acknowledge. Like, for example, she said she will sacrifice her citizens for a higher cause. She didn't have to tell me that. But that was a thing I was wondering about, and she made it very clear in the sand. She will do that. So it's like, I can certainly see how those with Edelgard could follow her. And she is certainly opening up more to us. But nevertheless, there's so much to this. I will say I haven't made a decision on Edelgard or Hubert. I'm still trying to wait, but unfortunately, certain things I can't just say I'll wait. I gotta react somehow. I gotta say my thoughts some kind of way. I am still open to hearing what both of them have to say. All right? Am I gonna end up liking Hubert? I don't know. I right now I don't see it happening, but it's always possible. The thing about Hubert is that it's not much of it's like, if you consider, did he do anything wrong? Well, he's just supporting Edelgard, and for that reason he's been one of my biggest enemies and has caused the most problems, because Edelgard was also one of my biggest enemies. So it's like by association. But if in turn he's the one who... Hubert's a different case. And honestly, even with Edelgard, like, normally I wouldn't... We'll see. Alright, there's too much that I have to consider. I got some info now. I think Edelgard does want the path of not just removing the crest, but removing the entire system. And I'm starting to see, so that's why she wants to conquer the entirety of Fulton. Even still, is it not possible to, like, reorganize? Like, why did it have to be war? Yeah, let me speak on that. Last thing, if it is the case that Edelgard is saying, I just want to change the world, have a clean slate, she's still, it's very much almost a numbers game then, where I wouldn't start war unless it was absolutely necessary. And there's also the fact that, isn't she teaming up with a lot of the nobles that, because I thought Casper's father, he's with her. There's too much. There's so much. But at least it's starting to become a gray area instead of completely black for me. But war is nothing to complain of. And the main thing, I guess, is that I played permadeath. So for me, I feel that unlike other people who didn't, the war had a bigger effect on me because I did that. After all, I lost in the dare. People said they didn't even know that you could have a scene where he wasn't there. He wasn't. He died. And he died because of Caspar. The Dimitri's route felt a lot less personal, and I was able to open up because I had turn wheels. I could just rewind stuff. But most likely, realistically speaking, it would more likely go in the way of the Golden Deer. I would take some losses, and I would take out units that I care for, you know? With that being said, I am done for right now. I'm gonna go try to edit the previous episode as best I can and see if I can make it less stressful for everybody, because honestly, I am terrified on the comments of that episode. But until then, this has been Blade. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. And now it is time for the question of the day, and I think I'll actually use the question I was saying in this episode. Would you replace any of the supports of the Ashen Wolves? And if so, who would they have a support with instead? Meaning, like, would you replace Happy and Ash's support? And if so, you know, who would Happy have a support with instead of Ash? That kind of thing. So with that being said, please post your thoughts down in the comments below, and I will see you all next time.